A woman name, Sarah. She was known to everyone around her as a beacon of kindness. Whether it was volunteering at the local shelter, helping elderly neighbors with their groceries, or simply offering a listening ear to friends in need, Sarah's heart was big enough to lift up those around her. Sarah wasn't wealthy by any means. It was often a struggle for her to make ends meet. She worked long hours at a small coffee shop down the street, pouring rich cups of brew and serving delicious pastries that brought smiles to patrons' faces. Each day she counted her earnings carefully, knowing that bills were waiting to be paid. Despite these challenges, Sarah never let her financial worries dim her spirit. Instead, she found joy in giving what little she had: her time, her words of encouragement, and her gentle heart. Her small apartment was decorated with photographs capturing these cherished moments: smiles from children at the shelter, happy faces from community events, and pictures of friends gathered together. These mementos reminded Sarah that even in difficult times, love and connection held great value. Her small space felt like a treasure trove of memories. One sunny afternoon, as she walked home from work, Sarah passed through Harrington Park. The park was lively. Children were playing games while laughter floated through the air. Families enjoyed picnics on colorful blankets spread across the grass. However, one scene caught Sarah's eye. A little girl sat alone on a nearby bench, her head bent low as tears streamed down her cheeks. Without hesitation, Sarah approached the girl and knelt beside her. "Hey there," she said softly. "What's wrong?" The girl lifted her head slightly and looked up at Sarah with wide eyes filled with worry. "I can't find my dad," she whimpered. "I got lost." Sarah's heart ached for this sweet child who seemed so small and vulnerable in that moment. "It's okay," she reassured Lily gently. "We'll find him together." But as they spoke, Sarah noticed something else. The little girl didn't have any money or belongings with her, just a worn-out stuffed bear clutched tightly against her chest. Feeling a rush of compassion, Sarah wanted to comfort Lily further. She reached into her pocket and pulled out her last $20 bill. "Here," she offered, "take this so you can get something to eat while we find your dad." At that moment, all of Sarah's own worries about finances faded away. Helping Lily felt more important than anything else. Lily's eyes lit up with surprise and gratitude as she accepted the bill. "Thank you," she exclaimed, wiping her tears away with her small hands. They smiled at each other, feeling a bond born from kindness. What Sarah didn't know then was how the simple act of giving would ripple into unexpected circumstances that would change both their lives forever. Sarah woke up each morning to the soft chirping of birds outside her window, the sun just beginning to peek through the curtains. She often took a moment to breathe in the new day, reminding herself that despite her struggles, today was another opportunity to make a difference in someone's life. After a quick breakfast of toast and jam, often the same meal she had every morning, she slipped into her well-worn shoes and headed out. The short walk to the coffee shop took her past the local bakery, where the scent of fresh bread tempted her every time. She would smile wistfully at the warm pastries, but knew her budget wouldn't allow any indulgence today. Instead, she saved her money for necessities: groceries, rent, and bills that seemed to pile up endlessly. As she arrived at work, she greeted her coworkers with a bright smile, hiding her fatigue behind a cheerful facade. Her day at the coffee shop was filled with a mix of regulars and newcomers. She poured steaming cups of rich coffee and served sweet treats, all the while exchanging kind words and laughter with customers. She loved these connections, finding joy in making people feel welcome and appreciated. Sarah was good at her job, often boosting sales simply by brightening someone's day with a smile or an encouraging word. Even so, at the end of each shift, she counted her tips carefully, often feeling a twinge of anxiety as she calculated how little she had left after paying her bills. Between serving drinks and cleaning tables, Sarah found moments to daydream about what life might be like if financial burdens didn't weigh on her shoulders. Would she be able to take art classes, travel to places she'd only read about, or perhaps even have a garden filled with vibrant flowers? These thoughts danced around in her mind as she worked, providing a temporary distraction from the reality of her situation. During breaks, Sarah often sat on a bench outside, enjoying a moment of quiet amid the bustling city. It was during these brief respites that she thought about the elderly neighbors she helped every week and the children at the shelter who looked up at her with hopeful eyes. Helping others always brought warmth to her heart, even when her own worries loomed large. Yet each month brought new challenges. When bills came due, rent, electricity, groceries, Sarah felt a familiar knot tighten in her stomach. She often had to choose between essentials. Do I pay my electricity bill this month or buy groceries? Her careful budgeting felt like a never-ending balancing act. As she walked home each evening after work, exhaustion weighed heavily on her feet and heart. But even in dark moments, Sarah held on to the belief that kindness mattered more than money. That the connections she built through small acts of generosity fueled her spirit. This hope kept her going as she dreamed of better days ahead while facing each challenge with resilience. Little did she know that a small act of kindness towards a lost girl would soon put those ideals to the ultimate test, showing her just how life could change in an instant. It was a sunny Saturday afternoon when Sarah decided to take a walk through Harrington Park after her shift at the coffee shop. The park buzzed with life. Children laughed and played tag, while families unfurled picnic blankets under the shade of trees. The vibrant colors of blooming flowers scattered throughout the park provided a picturesque backdrop, seemingly contrasting with the worries that swirled in Sarah's mind. As she strolled along the pathway, taking in the joyful scene, her attention was suddenly drawn to a small figure sitting alone on a bench. A little girl with pigtails and tear-streaked cheeks appeared lost and frightened. Sarah's heart twisted at the sight. She could see confusion in the child's eyes, mixed with fear, as she hugged a ragged, stuffed bear close to her chest. Without thinking, Sarah approached the girl slowly, wanting to avoid startling her. "Hi there," she said softly, kneeling down to meet Lily at eye level. "What's your name?" The little girl looked up, her big eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "I'm Lily," she replied in a trembling voice. "I can't find my dad." Panic washed over Sarah as she listened to Lily's words. She felt an overwhelming urge to help this small child who seemed so vulnerable in that moment. "It's okay, Lily," she reassured her gently. "We'll find him together. Where did you last see him?" Lily sniffled and took a deep breath before shaking her head. "I was playing near the swing set, and then I couldn't see him anymore." Sarah's mind raced as she considered their options. The park was large and filled with people, but time felt crucial for this little girl. "Okay," Sarah said with determination. "Let's go look for him." Just then, she noticed the girl's worn-out clothes, a clear sign of hardship that sparked an instant connection between them. As they stood up together, Sarah felt the weight of her own financial struggles momentarily fade away. All that mattered right now was helping Lily find her father. They began walking toward the swing set, scanning the area for any sign of a worried parent. Sarah talked to Lily as they walked, asking about her favorite games and what she liked about being at the park. Lily's face lit up slightly as she described how much fun it was to swing high in the air and reach for the sky. Listening to Lily's stories helped calm her nerves as they searched every corner of the park together. But soon it became clear that the search might take longer than expected. Thoughts of how she would navigate helping this lost child without any resources crept back into Sarah's mind. She thought about Lily's tears and her own last $20 bill tucked away in her pocket. Money intended for groceries, but now felt meaningless compared to this child's need. Suddenly inspired by compassion, Sarah grasped the bill in her pocket tightly, knowing that even if it was meant for necessities, it could make a difference in this moment for Lily. The desire to provide comfort outweighed her own worries about money, a choice that would lead them down an unexpected path together. "Don't worry, Lily," Sarah said warmly as they continued their search. "We'll find your dad soon." In that bustling park filled with laughter and joy, two unlikely companions began a journey together, one defined not just by searching, but by kindness and hope amidst uncertainty. As they made their way toward the swing set, the reality of their situation began to settle heavily on Sarah's shoulders. Lily, still clutching her stuffed bear, talked animatedly about her favorite swings and how high she liked to go. But Sarah's mind was preoccupied with an urgent question. How could she truly help this child? After searching for a while, it became clear that they might not find Lily's father immediately. Sarah glanced at the little girl, noticing how her face had fallen slightly with worry. Lily needed reassurance, and Sarah longed to provide that, but as they walked through the park, her heart sank at the thought of her dwindling resources. Then it hit her. Her last $20 bill was tucked safely in her pocket. The money she had meant for groceries and utility bills now seemed less important compared to Lily's need for comfort and safety. The decision weighed on her mind like a thick fog. Could she really part with what little she had left? As they reached a small vendor selling snacks and drinks, Sarah felt compelled to stop. The vendor's colorful signs and delightful smells pulled them closer. She crouched down next to Lily, who looked curiously at the assortment of goodies. "How about we grab a snack?" Sarah suggested, hoping it would lighten the girl's mood. "But I don't have any money," Lily replied softly, her eyes dropping to the ground. Sarah's heart broke a little at those words. She looked down at her pocket, mentally calculating the implications of giving away her last bill. This wasn't just money, it was hope for a more stable tomorrow. Yet seeing Lily's teary eyes sparked something stronger in her. "I'm not worried about that," Sarah said firmly, then added, "Let's get you something tasty." With a deep breath, she pulled out the $20 bill and handed it to the vendor, asking for 2 ice-cold lemonades and 1 large pretzel. As the vendor prepared their treats, Sarah felt both anxious and liberated by her decision. In that moment, the thought of being without groceries didn't seem to matter as much as witnessing a flicker of joy in Lily's expression. "Here you go!" The vendor smiled as he handed over their snacks. Lily's eyes widened with delight when she received the pretzel, warm and soft in her tiny hands. "Thank you. This is the best," Lily exclaimed, a smile breaking across her face as she took a big bite. The sight transformed her earlier sadness into pure happiness and excitement. As they sat on a bench under a shady tree enjoying their treats, Sarah felt an overwhelming sense of fulfillment wash over her. She had given away all that she had left for herself, yet somehow felt richer than ever in that moment. Sharing kindness had created an unexpected bond between them. It was a connection rooted in compassion that outweighed material possession. "See, everything will be okay," Sarah said softly, as Lily took another bite of the pretzel. "We will find your dad together." In that busy park filled with laughter and life, Sarah had chosen to believe in love and kindness above all else, and in doing so, she lit up both their hearts with hope for what lay ahead. As Sarah and Lily munched on their snacks beneath the trees in Harrington Park, Sarah noticed something lingering in Lily's eyes that went beyond simple fear or confusion, a shadow of worry. While the girl spoke about her love for swings and slides, hints of a different reality seeped through her innocent words. Occasionally, Lily would glance around, her gaze darting nervously at passers-by as if searching for someone or something hidden among the park's laughter. Curiosity piqued, Sarah gently prompted, "Is your dad nearby, Lily? What does he do?" The little girl hesitated, lips quivering slightly, as if trying to find the right words. He works a lot," she finally replied, "but sometimes he has to go away for a while." There was something unspoken in Lily's voice, a mix of longing and apprehension that grabbed at Sarah's heart. "Does he go on business trips?" Sarah asked, wanting to understand more but not wishing to pry too deeply. Lily nodded slowly. "Yeah, but it's not just trips. Sometimes—" She trailed off, her eyes welling up as she threw a glance back toward the park entrance where families strolled by happily. "He says it can get dangerous." The phrase hung in the air between them like a dark cloud. Sarah felt a shiver run down her spine. How could a child who so desperately wanted to play be caught in such a world? Was Lily's father in trouble? She instinctively wrapped an arm around the girl's shoulders, offering comfort without needing to ask more questions. "Sweetie, you don't have to worry about anything right now," Sarah assured her, trying to lighten the mood. "Let's focus on finding him." But as they continued their search through the playful noise of the park, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling of unease. The way Lily had mentioned danger felt almost as if it was lurking just beyond the trees, the unsaid horrors of a life she was too young to fully understand. As minutes stretched into what felt like an hour, they walked near the playground again. Suddenly, Sarah heard raised voices coming from outside the park, deep and stern tones that made her skin prickle. She turned instinctively as Lily's face paled. The little girl's grip on her stuffed bear tightened. "It's okay, darling," Sarah whispered softly, kneeling down to meet Lily's gaze. "Can you tell me if you're scared of anything else?" Lily hesitated, but eventually whispered back, "Sometimes I hear things at night. Noises. It makes me feel scared." Her voice broke just slightly. Sarah's heart raced. It was becoming clear that there were things happening in Lily's life that this little girl had no control over, things that most children should never have to face. Whatever challenges lay ahead, both for the sweet little girl sitting beside her and for herself, Sarah knew she had stepped into a path filled with unknown dangers. Determined not to let fear take hold of them both, Sarah stood up resolutely. "Let's keep looking for your dad," she said firmly, grasping Lily's tiny hand in hers. "You're safe with me." In that moment, surrounded by all the normalcy of people playing and laughing in the park, Sarah realized that kindness could be their shield against whatever awaited them outside these protective boundaries, both for herself and for Lily. They were two souls connected by circumstance, bravely forging ahead into an uncertain world. As they continued their search around the park, Sarah felt a pressing sense of urgency mixed with apprehension. She wanted to find Lily's father quickly and ensure the little girl felt safe. Yet with each passing moment, she couldn't shake the feeling that danger was not just a lurking thought. It could be very real in Lily's world. After what felt like an eternity of searching and asking other park visitors if they had seen a worried man looking for his daughter, Sarah and Lily finally spotted a tall figure at the entrance of the park. The man stood beside a shiny black car, scanning the crowds with an intense gaze that sent a chill down Sarah's spine. He wore dark sunglasses, and his posture exuded authority and impatience, immediately putting Sarah on edge. "Lily, there you are!" The man's voice cut through the happy sounds of the park like a knife. He rushed forward, kneeled down beside Lily, and enveloped her in a tight hug. Relief washed over her face, now transformed from fear to joy, as she buried her head into her father's shoulder. As she watched the display of affection from afar, Sarah felt a pang of conflicting emotions. Relief for Lily, but also an unsettling sense of caution about the man who had just appeared. He seemed intimidating, contrasting sharply with Lily's innocent demeanor. "Who are you?" he asked suddenly, his gaze shifting to Sarah with scrutinizing intensity. "What are you doing with my daughter?" I I was just helping her," Sarah stammered, instinctively stepping back as his eyes narrowed. She was lost in the park. Lily pulled away from her father's embrace and chimed in excitedly about her adventure with Sarah, the snacks they had enjoyed, their search in the playground, all while trying to diffuse the tension radiating from her father. "You should know better than to wander off like that," he snapped at Lily before turning his full attention back to Sarah. "Thank you for bringing her back." His voice held no warmth. Instead, there were unspoken threats lurking behind every word. Sarah nodded politely, but felt hesitant to turn her back on him. As she glanced at Lily's face, the innocence shining through, she couldn't help but wonder what this man was truly capable of. There was something about him that felt dangerous. It wasn't just parental concern, but something darker that sent shivers down her spine. Just then, she caught sight of two men who had been loitering near the entrance earlier, walking toward them with purpose. Their demeanor seemed off. They were dressed sharply, but moved like they didn't belong in this peaceful park scene, like wolves among sheep. Her heart raced as fear surged through her veins. "Dad!" Lily tugged at her father's arm as he directed an accusatory stare toward those approaching men. In that moment, horror dawned on Sarah as pieces began to fall into place. This could be more than just a troubled family. There was a potential for genuine danger looming nearby, and their encounter in the park might not have been as innocent as it appeared. Feeling trapped within circumstances beyond clothes or conversations, Sarah's instinct kicked into high gear. "It's time for us to go," she urged softly to Lily, while trying to maintain composure as she discreetly shifted sideways, readying herself for any sudden movement. But before she could make an exit or protect herself further from this escalating situation, an uneasy realization washed over her. This little girl's father wasn't just any ordinary man. There was power and possibly criminality involved that could circle back dangerously into their lives with unexpected consequences for everyone involved. The following day, Sarah found herself at her usual coffee shop, surrounded by the familiar sounds of espresso machines whirring and conversations mixing into a warm hum. But today, there was a tension that hummed just beneath her skin. She had barely slept after her encounter with Lily's father, her mind racing with thoughts about the little girl and the implications of their exchange. As she prepared cups of coffee for her customers, her best friend Mia walked through the door with a bright smile. "Hey, Sarah, you'll never guess what happened yesterday at the park," she exclaimed, pulling Sarah into a hug. "I think I might have a clue," Sarah said, forcing a smile while she tried to maintain her focus on pouring the coffee. She knew Mia's good-natured excitement was meant to cheer her up, but the events from the previous day weighed heavily on her. "Wait, did you help someone?" Mia asked, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. "Sort of," Sarah said, setting down the coffee pot before lowering her voice. "There was a little girl named Lily. She was lost." Mia's expression shifted to one of concern as Sarah recounted the events, how she had found Lily alone and frightened in the park, and how she'd given her last $20 to buy snacks. As she spoke, Mia's features hardened slightly, her brow furrowing with disbelief. "Sarah, you gave a stranger your last money? What if something happened?" Mia's words were filled with genuine worry. "You've got to be careful." Wednesday afternoon brought Sarah's brother, Tom, who usually wielded his joking nature as a shield for deeper topics. When she shared Lily's story with him later that night over takeout food, however, Tom's reaction was serious. "Do you know who that girl's dad is?" he asked when she finished. The sudden intensity in his voice startled Sarah. "No, I only saw him for a moment." "That guy gives me chills," Tom replied firmly. "I've heard things about men like him in our neighborhood, guys who don't play by the rules." Sarah felt her heart race again. All of the pieces began to jumble together in her mind as Tom rattled off rumors he had heard about gangs and organized crime leaders operating in their area. She tallied it against that intimidating presence from the park, the black car, the sharp suit, so many details that she had brushed aside without real consideration. "What do you think that means?" Sarah stuttered, panic creeping into her tone. "Am I in danger?" He just seemed worried about Lily. Tom leaned back in his chair and sighed. "That's how they operate. They put on a show because they need people to trust them." A wave of anxiety washed over Sarah as Tom continued speaking, detailing how such figures often coexisted in families, seemingly innocuous during daylight hours while harboring sinister connections after dark. While most people lived relatively normal lives during the day in their community, others lurked just beyond the edges, hidden truths boiling under seemingly benign surfaces. Concerned friends and family now surrounded Sarah's thoughts as shadows of dread loomed larger than ever before. In reflecting on her act of kindness towards Lily, Sarah began questioning not only what could come of it, but also whether she could step back from these uncertain waters she had willingly entered. Yet through it all, there still existed that glimmer of hope, the tenuous bond built amidst their circumstances, reminding her of the extraordinary power found in compassion despite life's unpredictable dangers. Empowered by this thought, Sarah resolved to protect both herself and Lily from any storm approaching, choosing to remain vigilant as she faced the challenges that lay ahead. In the days following her encounter with Lily and her father, Sarah was engulfed by a storm of conflicting emotions. The warmth she felt for Lily was overshadowed by an encroaching darkness, a growing sense of guilt and fear that clung to her like a heavy fog. Each time she closed her eyes, she replayed the events in the park, the little girl's bright smile when they shared snacks, contrasted sharply with the menacing presence of Lily's father. Sarah had always believed in kindness as a guiding principle. It was what brought her joy in the challenging world she inhabited, where every dollar mattered. Yet now, that very kindness seemed to be pulling her into uncharted waters filled with peril. She couldn't shake the thought that her generous act might have put both herself and Lily in harm's way. Her mind raced with questions. What if Lily's father sought revenge for any perceived slight? What if someone from his world found out she had helped his daughter? The comforting hum of the coffee shop felt distant as these worries spiraled around her, threatening to suffocate her spirit. Every time a customer entered, she forced a smile, but inside, uncertainty churned. One evening, while washing dishes after her shift, Sarah's thoughts turned dark as she reflected on her life choices. Was I foolish to help? She whispered to herself, gripping the edge of the sink tightly. What if I had just walked away? Guilt gnawed at her. She held onto the belief that one small act of kindness could make a difference. Yet here she was, questioning everything. The weight of potential consequences began to feel like a heavy anchor dragging her down. Sarah thought about how much trouble she could invite into her life without meaning to. Her friends and family had warned her about staying safe and avoiding entanglements with those who operated outside the law. Hadn't they told her countless times to think before acting? Yet how could she have turned away from an innocent child in need? But despite these fears, Sarah also felt a flicker of hope igniting within her heart, a conviction that she couldn't ignore. She remembered Lily's laughter as they shared pretzels and lemonade, how it lit up their small corner of the park despite overshadowing clouds. That moment of joy had been real. It reminded her why she chose to be kind in a world that often turned cold. Determined not to let fear rule her life, Sarah decided to stand firm in her beliefs. She would continue to extend kindness wherever possible, even if it meant facing uncertainty. After all, if everyone shied away from helping others because of potential risks, then what would become of humanity? With this resolve bubbling inside her, Sarah began to plan for how she could help ensure Lily's safety without putting herself at risk. Maybe reaching out for help from someone who understood this dangerous world better than she did would be wise. She couldn't bear the thought of putting herself or Lily in danger again, but leaving the little girl alone felt equally unbearable. As Sarah wiped down the last dish and looked out at the fading light outside, a sense of clarity washed over her. Life was unpredictable and sometimes frightening, but there existed beauty in compassion, and that beauty was worth fighting for. With determination flooding her veins, Sarah made up her mind. She would find a way to protect Lily without sacrificing what mattered most, her own integrity and compassion for others. As the days turned into weeks, Sarah found herself increasingly entangled in situations that hinted at the dark underbelly of her community. It began innocently enough. She had resumed her routine of working at the coffee shop, pouring coffee and serving pastries, but her thoughts often drifted back to Lily and the unsettling encounter with her father. One evening after closing, Sarah noticed a group of men lingering outside the shop. They were sharply dressed, their demeanor stern as they exchanged whispers that seemed laden with unspoken promises. At first, she dismissed them as just another set of customers waiting for a late-night pick-me-up, but something about their behavior sent warning signals flashing through her mind. As she swept up crumbs from the floor, she overheard snippets of their conversation, mentions of money and the boss, accompanied by anxious glances toward a black luxury car parked across the street. And Sarah's heart raced. She couldn't help but wonder if these men were somehow connected to Lily's father. The following day, while running errands in a nearby grocery store, Sarah encountered one of the same men from the coffee shop. He stood near the checkout line, scanning items with a calculating gaze. Their eyes briefly met before he turned away, but the chill that accompanied that glance sent shivers down Sarah's spine. Was he watching her? Should she be worried? Compelled by an uneasy intuition, Sarah hurried home and locked her door, deciding it was best to avoid any further encounters with those who seemed to inhabit a world so different from hers. That night, however, her dreams were haunted by shadows and whispered threats. Days later, while volunteering at a local shelter for children, a place filled with laughter and hope, Sarah felt an unexpected surge of comfort amidst familiar faces. She poured juice for curious toddlers and helped with arts and crafts, immersing herself in kindness. But then the atmosphere shifted when Lily arrived unexpectedly. "Is this your little girl?" a voice boomed from behind her. It was Lily's father again, his presence commanding attention as he strode through the shelter doors with an intensity that made everyone pause. "Sir," Sarah greeted nervously, trying to keep calm while recalling their last meeting in the park that left such an impression on her, one filled with apprehension. Lily bounded over to her father with joy that felt almost surreal under his watchful gaze. The disparity between their interactions tugged at Sarah's heart. Here was this innocent child eager to share moments of happiness while standing next to someone wrapped in darkness. "Thank you for looking after my daughter," he said curtly, but without warmth. "I appreciate it." His tone was almost commanding rather than grateful. In that moment, fear washed over Sarah anew. What did he really mean by looking after? Was this gratitude genuine or laced with menace? As he spoke further about how they'd been busy and needed more assistance than expected at home, Sarah could sense hidden meanings beyond his words. Determined not to let fear consume her life completely, Sarah left quickly after exchanging pleasantries, her heart pounding as if it wanted to burst free from its confines. Despite wanting to distance herself from any involvement in Lily's world, there was still an undeniable pull. Compassion had rooted itself deeply within her soul. Days rolled on like waves crashing against the shore, with each interaction leaving more questions than answers swirling inside her mind. How could she protect Lily without putting herself at risk? And why did every path seem fraught with danger now? Though uncertainty loomed ominously overhead like dark clouds threatening rain, Sarah resolved to stay vigilant, aware that kindness might lead her into dangerous waters, but believing wholeheartedly that even amidst shadows existed potential for light to break through if only she dared to keep moving forward courageously in search of hope against all odds. As Sarah continued to navigate the complexities of her newfound connection with Lily, she found herself reflecting deeply on the themes of kindness and the consequences of her actions. Her initial decision to help a lost little girl had been born out of compassion, but now that same act seemed to linger like a double-edged sword above her head. Every encounter with suspicious characters made her question whether she had gone too far in her desire to do good. She began to wonder about the fine line between helping others and putting herself in danger. Sarah knew she had acted with good intentions when she gave Lily her last $20, but now those intentions felt overshadowed by the fear that came with being intertwined in a web of potential criminal activity. During her shifts at the coffee shop, Sarah often overheard customers discussing crime in their neighborhood. The stories sounded so distant from her life, overly dramatic tales exchanged as gossip, but now they felt alarmingly close. What had once seemed like mere entertainment was becoming an unsettling reality for her. It was as if every newspaper headline made sense in a way it hadn't before. She had unwittingly stepped into a world where not all acts of kindness are met with gratitude. On one particularly busy afternoon, while serving coffee to regulars, she caught snippets of conversations about organized crime and powerful men who controlled significant parts of the city. The words "the boss" echoed uncomfortably within her thoughts, a shadow casting doubt over her decisions as she poured cream into mugs. With each story that reached her ears, anxiety tightened its grip on Sarah's heart. Amidst this turmoil, however, hope persisted, the glimmer illuminating her path forward. Sarah recalled the joy in Lily's face when they shared snacks at the park, and how that single moment reminded her why she believed in kindness. She wanted to be a source of light for others, just as she had been for Lily, but now that meant finding ways to protect them both without compromising herself. Determined not to let fear overshadow compassion, Sarah thought about reaching out for guidance or support. Perhaps there were community resources or people who understood the complexities surrounding Lily's father better than she did. Would connecting with professionals or local organizations help ensure Lily's safety without putting Sarah at risk? The notion sparked a new resolve within her. She just needed to tread carefully. Sarah found herself wrestling with guilt as well. Had she inadvertently placed Lily deeper in danger by engaging with her family? Yet at the same time, she couldn't shake the feeling that stepping back would be wrong. It was this internal wrestling match that fueled Sarah's determination to help without losing herself along the way. Each day brought fresh challenges and deeper reflections on what it truly meant to be kind in an unpredictable world filled with shadows and uncertainty. With every decision weighing heavily on her heart, Sarah clung fiercely to the belief that even amid darkness, acts of kindness could illuminate pathways towards safety and connection rather than lead down treacherous roads filled with despair. Through all these trials, one truth stood firm. Kindness may come at an unexpected price, but when rooted in love and genuine concern for another's well-being, it holds immeasurable power, even when faced with life's greatest dangers. With renewed purpose igniting within her spirit, Sarah prepared to face whatever uncertainties lay ahead, ready to seek solutions while refusing to abandon hope for herself and for Lily. The day had finally come when Sarah could no longer ignore the growing tension that loomed over her and Lily. With her heart pounding in her chest, she made her way to a community center where Lily's father was reportedly hosting a gathering for families connected to their neighborhood. Sarah had heard whispers about the man's influence in the community, yet a firm resolve propelled her to confront him directly. As she approached the entrance of the center, doubt flickered in her mind like a candle fighting against the wind. What if confronting him only made matters worse? The stories she had overheard echoed relentlessly. Talk of organized crime and the powerful men behind it left her feeling small and vulnerable. Despite this fear, memories of Lily's innocent smile flooded her thoughts, reminding her why she was taking this dangerous step. Inside the center, Sarah's gut twisted as she spotted Lily's father. Amidst a group of men dressed sharply in suits, their laughter echoing through the hall. He was animated as he spoke, exuding an air of authority that made him easily stand out. The sight sent a chill down Sarah's spine. She could hardly reconcile this man with the tender father who had embraced his daughter just days before. Taking a deep breath, Sarah walked over, determined to make her voice heard. As she neared, one of the men turned and regarded her with curiosity. "Can I help you?" he asked, his tone skeptical and sharp. "I need to speak with you," Sarah said, forcing confidence into her voice, despite the tremor in her hands. She locked eyes with Lily's father, who paused mid-conversation and leveled his gaze on her. His expression shifted from surprise to something unreadable as he raised an eyebrow. "About what?" he inquired, crossing his arms. "About Lily," Sarah said, steadying herself. "She's just a little girl who needs guidance. I gave her my last $20 when I found her lost in the park, and I want to ensure she is safe." A silence fell over the group. All eyes were on her. The men exchanged glances, some smirking, while others appeared intrigued. But it was Lily's father who dominated the moment with an unsettling chuckle. "You think giving her money makes you a protector?" he asked, his voice low and dangerous. "I think it's my responsibility," Sarah shot back, courage swelling inside her like a tide. "Someone needs to look out for her when you can't." Her words hung in the air like a challenge. His expression hardened, and for a moment, Sarah feared she had crossed a line she couldn't uncross. Yet there was steel in her resolve that urged her to stand firm. "I don't know what kind of life she leads at home," she continued, voice unwavering, "but I believe every child deserves better. Safety, love, and compassion." The laughter evaporated from the room as tension thickened in the air. For one heart-stopping moment, Sarah felt utterly exposed, vulnerable and alone. But then she caught sight of photos hanging on the wall, displaying smiling families from the community events hosted there. Those images fueled her determination. "Your daughter is innocent," Sarah pressed on, "and whatever world you think you control doesn't have to swallow her whole." Lily's father took a step closer, his eyes narrowing dangerously. But instead of recoiling from fear, Sarah held her ground. In that moment, beneath the uncertainty and looming danger surrounding them both, she found clarity, a fierce bravery blossoming as she stood up not just for Lily, but for all children caught in circumstances beyond their control. "I won't back down," she declared boldly. "I will help her find safety in any way I can." The confrontation hung heavy between them, and as seconds ticked by like hours, Sarah realized that risking everything was part of seeking justice for Lily. Whatever awaited next would be determined by choices made today, choices rooted in kindness that had blossomed into fierce resolve against all odds. The tension in the community center hung thick in the air after Sarah's confrontation with Lily's father. As the moment stretched into what felt like eternity, she could sense the shifting dynamics around her. Some men exchanged worried glances, while others leaned closer, intrigued by her bravery. For Sarah, this was not just a stand against a powerful figure. It was a declaration of her commitment to do what was right for Lily. After what felt like hours, Lily's father finally relented, his gaze simmering with reluctant respect. "You have guts," he admitted, though his voice carried an underlying threat that hinted at who really held the power. "But remember this, you don't know what you're dealing with." It was a warning that echoed in Sarah's mind long after he stormed off with Lily in tow. Days passed, and Sarah felt the weight of her choices settle around her shoulders like a heavy cloak. While she had effectively confronted the dark shadow that loomed over Lily's life, she couldn't shake off the ripple effects of that encounter. She no longer saw shadows lurking only outside, but recognized their presence in every corner of her life. Despite the fear that gripped her heart when dealing with unpredictable people in her neighborhood, something remarkable began to blossom within Sarah, an unshakable strength rooted in her newfound purpose. As she returned to work at the coffee shop each day, serving drinks and pastries, while engaging with customers now filled with warmth instead of anxiety, she found herself more resolved than ever to be a beacon of kindness and strength for Lily and others like her. Inspired by her own experience and desperate to protect Lily from the dangers around them, Sarah reached out to local community organizations focused on child welfare and safety. She began volunteering regularly, educating herself on how to navigate challenging situations while promoting kindness and safety for vulnerable children. As Sarah immersed herself further into this new role, she started connecting with other parents who shared similar concerns about their children's well-being amidst escalating crime in their neighborhoods. Through these interactions, she recognized that she wasn't alone. There were countless individuals who had been quietly fighting their own battles against injustice and seeking ways to protect their loved ones. In time, those connections grew stronger as they banded together, not only advocating for each other but also raising awareness about issues affecting their community. Sarah created support groups where families could meet regularly to discuss challenges, share resources, and develop strategies to keep their kids safe. Lily became a regular presence at these gatherings, her laughter echoing through the hallways of a once quiet community center as children played together under watchful eyes. Seeing Lily flourish amidst friends served as a reminder of why Sarah initially stepped into danger, to create moments of joy and safety for those unable to protect themselves. Through this journey marked by uncertainty and fear transformed into one forged by determination and hope, both Sarah and Lily emerged stronger than ever before. Kindness had indeed opened pathways they never anticipated, a reminder that even amid darkness lies potential for growth and positive change when guided by love and compassion. As Sarah stood admiring the connections formed within her community one sunny weekend afternoon during an outdoor event celebrating families' resilience, she realized how far they had come. What once seemed like simple acts of kindness had evolved into a movement, a testament to bravery born from caring deeply for others, and an affirmation that steps taken toward justice can lead not only to safety, but also profound personal growth along the way. With renewed purpose illuminating her future path alongside newfound friendships forged through shared goals, Sarah understood that no matter how challenging circumstances would become ahead, acts of kindness could undoubtedly illuminate even the darkest corners of life if only one dared to embrace them courageously. As Sarah stood surrounded by the vibrant energy of families celebrating their resilience in the community center, she reflected on all that she had learned throughout her journey. The path from a simple act of kindness to confronting powerful forces had changed her in ways she never expected. No longer was she just a woman trying to make ends meet. She had become a stalwart advocate for those who felt invisible and vulnerable. Looking around at the joyful faces, Sarah recognized that compassion wasn't merely an abstract concept. It was alive and thriving within each interaction. It had connected her not only to Lily, but also to other caring individuals who had been quietly battling their own challenges. Together, they created a tapestry of support woven from shared experiences and mutual understanding. Sarah recalled how her fears initially loomed large, paralyzing her with anxiety about the potential repercussions of helping Lily. Yet each time doubt crept into her mind, she found strength in the small victories, like when children laughed together during activities or when parents exchanged stories of hope and survival. Those moments served as powerful reminders that kindness could plant seeds of change even in the darkest environments. Through this experience, Sarah learned to appreciate different backgrounds and understand how easy it is to overlook others' struggles when not faced directly with them. She realized that many people in her community felt trapped by circumstances beyond their control, much like Lily's family situation initially suggested. This newfound empathy ignited a desire within Sarah to bridge gaps, showing others the beauty found in collective strength rather than focusing on individual struggles. In supporting others through community work, Sarah also came face to face with her own vulnerabilities. There were moments of doubt where she questioned whether she was doing enough, or if stepping into this advocacy role was wise given the risks involved. However, every challenge reinforced her belief that adversity can reveal one's true strength and resolve. Sarah's heart swelled with pride as she witnessed transformations around her, the once quiet individuals who now spoke up for their children's safety, sharing their stories openly without fear of judgment. They had formed an unbreakable bond that defied the dangers lurking outside their doors. Together, they cultivated a sense of belonging rooted in solidarity and trust. Amidst this environment filled with love and connection, Sarah discovered remarkable personal growth within herself too. The girl who once hesitated to act had evolved into an advocate who understood the power of standing up against injustice, someone willing to risk safety for a cause greater than herself. And so, as sunlight streamed through the windows, illuminating vibrant artwork created by local children, depicting dreams and aspirations for a brighter future, Sarah felt renewed hope radiating from deep within. She recognized that acts of kindness could lead to unexpected paths, not just for those receiving help, but also for those offering it. Her journey highlighted the intricate dance between compassion and courage, a reminder that every choice made in light of love could ripple outward, creating waves of change far beyond what one might see at any given moment. With this realization firm in her heart, Sarah knew she would continue onward, armed with confidence, born from understanding life's complexities, while remaining steadfastly committed to making a difference in whatever way possible. As laughter echoed around her once more, a sound mixed with joy and connection, Sarah understood one thing clearly: embracing kindness amidst adversity is where true strength resides. It's about recognizing our common humanity while lifting each other up along life's unpredictable journey together. As the sun began to set, casting a warm golden glow over the community center, Sarah reflected on her remarkable journey. What had begun as a simple act of kindness, a decision to help a lost little girl, had unfolded into a life-altering experience that challenged her beliefs and ignited a passion for advocacy within her. The event celebrating families' resilience marked not just an end, but the beginning of a profound transformation in both her life and the lives of those around her. In standing up for Lily, Sarah discovered her own strength and courage, realizing that compassion could serve as a powerful catalyst for change. No longer consumed by doubt or fear, she felt empowered to continue her advocacy work, eager to protect vulnerable children and foster a sense of community among those who felt isolated by their circumstances. Each smile exchanged at the event reinforced her belief that even the smallest acts have the potential to create ripples of hope. As she mingled with other parents and community members, Sarah appreciated how they had all gathered to celebrate not just resilience, but also the healing power of kindness. Their shared stories illuminated paths through darkness, each person's journey intertwined with another's through mutual support and understanding. It was in these connections that she found strength. Together, they formed a safety net woven from shared experiences and collective care. Sarah was reminded that acts of kindness do not exist in isolation. They can spark movements, inspire others to join causes greater than themselves, and even lead down unexpected paths. She recalled how just one small gesture, giving away her last $20, had opened doors she never knew existed, leading her into a world where she could make a difference. With this realization came an overwhelming sense of responsibility. Sarah understood that while she could not single-handedly solve every problem or rescue every child in need, she could be part of something larger, a collective effort fueled by compassion and bravery. Each step taken together would echo far beyond their immediate surroundings. Looking at Lily playing happily with other children nearby, Sarah felt an immense wave of gratitude wash over her. This child had unknowingly ignited change within Sarah, an awakening that encouraged her to embrace life's uncertainties head-on rather than shy away from them. The laughter resonating throughout the room served as a reminder that joy could flourish even amidst adversity when nurtured by love and kindness. As she spoke with other parents about forming even broader initiatives to promote safety and support for their children, Sarah began to envision new possibilities. Workshops on parenting strategies emerged alongside plans for community events designed to foster trust among neighbors. With each idea discussed, renewed energy sparked within them. Hope began radiating outward like ripples on water. In conclusion, Sarah realized that every challenge she faced had been an opportunity for growth, a chance to learn about herself, resilience, and the profound impact one act of kindness can have on many lives. It was not always easy. There would always be shadows lurking nearby, but now armed with courage fueled by compassion, she felt ready to confront whatever came next. With newfound purpose illuminating her path forward and surrounded by connections forged through shared struggles, Sarah knew that embracing kindness amid adversity would remain central to who she was. The journey had taught her invaluable lessons. No matter how daunting life may seem at times, love has the power not only to endure, but also to transform lives in extraordinary ways when we dare to take action together.